Hey everybody, Mark England here, and we just wrapped up a killer show here with Chase and Everforward Radio. The biggest takeaway is that your words are powerful and they are powerfully influencing you, and a little bit of adjustment in how you tell yourself a story equals big change in many areas of your life. Everforward Radio signing off.
Team RVA in the house, man.
Team RVA
welcome
in the house.
to the show.
Thank you for having me, man.
Mark England, man, welcome. I'm as soon as I saw that TED Talk, the TedX RVA, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. It's gonna be real good. I kind of say like I have two hometowns: Roanoke, Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. I was born in. There we go. Oh, that's better. Born in Richmond, and then bounced back and forth between Roanoke and Richmond. You know, broken home, whatever. Okay. My mom lived in Richmond, dad and stepmom and stuff down in Roanoke. And then when I got out of the military, went to VCU and lived there for like 5 years. So I like to think of myself as a RVAer.
Yeah.
I got some history, you know.
Yeah, big time.
Back and forth for years, and then living there for years.
Where off campus did you live for?
So when I moved down, I was actually I had a house in Chester. Like way down for a little bit. Had dogs, and it was like the best thing at the time. And then I realized that I hated living down there, and then wound up getting a place in. I'm having a brain fart now. Oh, so in Manchester.
Got it.
Across the bridge for a little bit, and then lived down Shockoe Bottom for a little bit, and then I think that was it.
Manchester's blowing up now, man.
Oh. Again, like we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
so many things in Richmond that you would never do years ago now are like the coolest spots. Manchester's beautiful. So many like little farmers markets and Legend Brewing Companies over there. And all these new apartment buildings. And then I used to train at this gym called the Weight Room up in Scotts Addition.
Okay.
And then the only thing there besides the weight room was the strip club, Paper Moon, which I would drive by like every time going to the gym, and the rest of it was just like hood, sketch, like rundown shit.
Blown out factories and
exactly. And now those factories have turned into the most booming area of Richmond. There are like dozens of breweries and everything there. It's where I go. Every time I go back to Richmond now, I go there, just bounce around, eat.
Super safe too. It's crazy.
Yeah. So weird, man. Well, funny, here we two RVA guys just linking up down here in Southern California.
SoCal, RVA, let's do this, man. I like it.
Yeah. Mark, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Friend of Mike Bledsoe.
Yeah, the great Mike Bledsoe.
Yeah, it was such a privilege and honor connecting with him and going down and learning his podcast ways and really paying attention to the voice in your head and when it's time to move on to things, when it's time to create things. And, of course, anybody that he recommends or links me up with, I'm going to say yes and explore more too. So appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah.
He put us in touch. I'm like, anybody that Mike recommends, I will gladly do their show.
Absolutely. Yeah. Today I want to talk about your latest baby and that everything that you're doing with Enlifted and I love this term, Procabulary, really kind of helping people better understand the words that we say, what they mean, and how they really have a meaning on our physiology and our thoughts and our actions. But before we dive into that, one last thing about RVA. Like I said, I saw that TEDx RVA talk, really talking about identity. And we have another commonality there. Injury, career-ending injury, really radically changing your identity. I went through the same thing in the military. Got injured, was no longer fit to be a soldier. I got kicked out. And honestly, I didn't realize it fully at the time of what that did to my identity. Because I was just still in the mentality of like, okay, like Chewning do this, Chewning do that. Nope, yes, no kind of thing. Just I was following orders. And I was like, okay, cool, on to the next thing. Which for me, I started VCU literally like 3 weeks later. So I didn't really have downtime, I think, to really process that. Or I chose not to at least. But looking back, a lot of the self-work I've been doing this year, it's like, wow, like my entire world, my entire identity was wrapped up into this one thing, soldier chase.
Oh, yeah.
That radically changed due to injury. And then I had to go find and make my own new one because I no longer had Uncle Sam, this support system, or anybody else helping me go through that. So what was your injury and what was that kind of identity process that you went through, the identity loss process, and how did you get to be where you are now on the other side? Pretty squared away, not wallowing.
Yeah, I jacked my knee up for a second time shortly after I moved to Bangkok, Thailand in 2002. I was an MMA guy and a kickboxer in college, and all my training partners were, studly dudes and getting their black belts or in the process of it and opening gyms and going pro. And I'm like, I'm with these guys because I'm a fighter. But I'm going to go over to Thailand. I'm going to do it a little bit different. So the plan was move over to Thailand for a year, sharpen up my Thai skills, come back, go pro. And what happened was...
What had happened was...
Yeah, man plans, God's laugh.
Yeah.
So 6 months after I was over there, I was on the other side of a second knee operation, and the dude told me straight up, he said, Mark, it's over. Your career as a fighter is over. You could become a very good swimmer. And I remember looking at him, listening to his words, and I believed him, man, because I was in so much pain. And what he said about the structure of my knee was, he said, another thing verbatim that he said, I know another person with a knee like this.
Oh.
He's 50 years old and he can walk. That's exactly what he said.
Thanks.
And how he said it.
Thanks, Doc.
And so, I put a spell on you. So I see myself as done. And there's a saying, Joe Rogan mentions this, and there's truth to it, and it goes way beyond fighters. He said a fighter lives and dies in their own mind. And take out fighter and put in soldier. Take out soldier and put in actor. Put in anything that we identify with, and we keep that version of us alive in our mind, and we kill that version of us in our mind, and we do it with language, and most of the time it's done on an unconscious level.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I saw the end of the road and believed it wholeheartedly that was the case. And so now, because that's the case, I'm not going back to Virginia, because there is not a chance in hell that I'm going to go back to that old life where everyone knew me as that dude, and I got a lot of attention from it, and I liked the attention that I got, and all my friends were I had my high school and my middle school friends, because I'm from Richmond, born and raised, but everybody I was hanging out with, post-college, they were all fighters. I'm like, I'm not going there and not hanging out with those dudes and not training. And so I was like, I'd rather be a no one in a strange land than go back there. And both were hard choices.
Yeah.
But
it's like the lesser of two evils you have to pick.
It's the lesser of two evils. And so I stayed over there and wallowed in my own misery for a while. And there was a distinct period of time, Chase. It was an entire year that, due to the victim-centric story I was telling myself about myself, that I didn't laugh. And when people don't laugh or even smile, I couldn't get my face into a position to enjoy anything. I was over there with my girlfriend. She was super cool, super funny, very outgoing and gregarious and lively. And I just changed, man. I could not engage with her in the same way. And after it got to a point where I was, hard. My face was harder than this table, man. It dawned on me one day that, guess what, dude? You can keep doing this. You can be this guy for another 2, 3, maybe 4 decades if you're unlucky.
Yeah.
And I saw that version of myself down that path, and I'm like, man, that is a scary outcome. I'll take anything except that. And funnily enough, when sometimes we say things in the right way, at the right time, other things happen. So I was an elementary school sports teacher at the time, and my the guy that was the other PE teacher, the middle school and high school PE teacher, he handed me a book on traditional Chinese medicine, and they talked about all kinds of interesting things, from meditation to acupuncture and detox and cleansing, and I'd had some acupuncture in college, so I was open to the idea of their, okay, maybe they can work with energy and it'll help. Okay, cool. And he goes, hey man, there's a detox spa down in the Gulf of Thailand, Koh Samui. It's an island down there. He's like, they run detox programs like this. I was like, okay, I'll go.
Detoxing, just
cleansing. It was
cleansing of like the whole self,
thing.
the whole body, like
Yes.
like all the juice cleanses, all the all the masks and the scrubs, like
all
head
that
to
stuff.
toe, total detox.
All of that for sure, and mostly for the digestive tract.
Okay.
So you go down there and you pay to not eat,
Wow.
basically. And there's a lot of other people down there doing it too. And so what happens, one of the things that happens when people stop eating is that you have more time to think about things. And I had interesting conversations with people, and and I kept going back. The third time down there, I met a guy who changed the trajectory of my life forever. This guy by the name of Barry Musgrave. He was doing an emotional detox seminar one night. And emotional detox. I heard the title, and I'm like, I snickered at it.
Yeah.
In all my wisdom. And I went and I watched this guy change this woman's story about a bad breakup, and he did it by adjusting just a few of the statements, okay, making word changes to the words, and it changed her perspective. And I watched her start to down-regulate in terms of this story that had her all locked up. And I could see it then. I was like, that's not my story, but that's my story. And so I started researching this particular way of working with our stories, and things started to change for me. And so I kept on with it. More things started to change, and those things, one of them was what I was envisioning for myself.
Yeah.
Okay. The way I was seeing myself. Another one of those things was my tight ass shoulders. Okay. And my locked up jaw. And another one of those things was where I was breathing. Okay. Because there's a direct correlation between how well someone breathes and how much someone laughs.
Yeah.
When someone's in a
believe it.
stressed state, an upregulated sympathetic nervous system response state, their breathing is trapped in their upper chest, okay? And it's hard for them to relax. It's hard for them to digest their food well. It's hard for them to sleep well. It's hard for them to connect with other people. It's hard for them to listen, okay? It's hard to do a lot of things. It's hard for someone to smile when they're stressing themselves out with a story of woe, which is what I was doing.
Emotionally and physically, you're just clenched.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Big time. And as I started to unravel this story that I created for myself, because I was the victim, man. I was the victim of life, and I had the proof.
We always are, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I was so bought into that, man. And as that story of me started to change, back to your question about identity and the TED Talk, we'll just make a quick segue here, is that I once thought that things were just the way they are, and because I am just the way I am.
Yeah.
Which is in alignment with the current Webster's definition of identity, which is the fact of being who or what a person is.
In that present moment.
And well, if things are factual and this is just the way I am, then why should I change? Because this is just the way things are. It implies that our identities are rigid, when in reality they're fluid.
Very malleable.
They're very malleable.
Yeah, I agree.
They're processes. They're ongoing, fluid, flexible processes, and this is what we proposed at the TED Talk. Is that wait a minute? I'm not a fact, okay? Most of the decisions that I've made about myself are simply coming off of my opinion or someone else's opinion. That's really good news, because people change their mind all the time. And if I continually practice learning how to change my mind about myself in specific ways, then I turn into something, to use your words, is much more malleable. Okay, and that's fun, man. Seeing ourselves as our identities as an ongoing, fluid, flexible process that we participate in with our words. It puts the conversation about the value of education, about the power of our language and our stories, right in the middle of the table, right where it belongs. Most people's education, I was a teacher before I got into the good attitude business, if we want to call it that, so let's call it that.
I like that term.
Yeah, why not? Most people's education about their language comes down to 3 static things: spelling, grammar, and definitions.
Sure, yeah.
I didn't have one class, course, or conversation in my public schooling or in my education on how to teach about how our words and our stories are influencing our imagination, our feelings and emotions, our physiology, and how well we breathe. Yeah. And those are 4 major components of how we experience ourselves, just like table legs, and on top of that sits our identity.
Absolutely, yeah. Beautiful analogy.
It's simple. Yeah. If I have any gifts, one of them is being simple. I'm a simple guy, and I like a good simple conversation that is tactical and practical.
We'll cue Leonard Skinner right here for you.
Yeah, dude, I like that song, man. I like Leonard Skinner. Yeah, we're from the South.
Wrong?
We're Southern
man.
boys, man. People can hear that Southern drawl in us. It works. It's cool. Yeah, and interestingly enough, I was asked that question to begin. Shout out to Doug Larson on Barbell Business. So we did Barbell Shrugged in the morning, and I was wrong. I said January 17th when we were in the kitchen. We did those shows January 20th.
Okay.
January 20th in the morning, we did Barbell Shrugged at a CrossFit gym, Paradiso CrossFit in Venice Beach, and then the business podcast later in the afternoon. And the first question out of Doug's mouth was, so what's y'all's take on identity? It was so spooky, dude.
Wow.
Because I didn't have an answer.
Doug, that's not what we rehearsed, man. Come on.
Dude, I didn't have an answer. And it got awkward real fast. And I knew before he got the sentence out of his mouth what he was going to say. And I also knew I didn't have access to the answer. It was, to use this word again, it was spooky. And I'm sitting there, and you're a podcaster. Things can get real awkward with a little amount of quiet time.
Oh my gosh, half a second of silence feels like an hour.
Dude, it's so weird. And so we're like 5 seconds in, and Bledsoe goes, "This better be good." I just met these guys this morning, man. I just met these dudes this morning. And Hunter, they had a camera guy, Kenny Kane's there. And I look at Mike and I'm like, we got to stop.
Wow.
I don't have an answer for this. I don't have a good answer for this, and I don't know why. Yeah. I don't. Okay? There's a bunch of negations for you. We'll get into those in a second. And they were like, okay, cool. And so started filming again and just picked up like nothing ever happened and started from another talking point. Anyway, I'm giving a TED Talk about it 5 months later, and I'm like, the universe does have a sense of humor.
Shit.
Yeah, about that exact same thing. And now that has been our standard point of conversation when we talk about identity. And we back that position up with examples of playing the one-word game. Mm-hmm. So what is the one-word game? It's you take one sentence, okay? And then you say the same sentence again, minus one word, and we watch what happens. Okay, so for your audience, we're about to play the one-word game, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have access to a pen and paper, it makes it even more powerful if you write this down. Or just think it, say it out loud, take your pick. So
have Siri do a voice memo
have Siri
for you
do
right
it.
now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Got the NSC needs all the information it can get. So repeat this statement, Chase. How will I ever get over this?
How will I ever get over this?
Perfect. What kind of picture do you make when you make that statement?
A loss, a tragedy, something that an obstacle that is just blocking the listener from what I really want on the other side.
Perfect. And then there's a feeling that goes with that. It's a stuckness, right? Okay. Same sentence. We're going to take out one word.
Okay.
So, how will I ever get over this? Take out the word ever and repeat the sentence.
How will I get over this?
Did the picture change?
Becomes more of a, instead of me looking at an obstacle and just being like, fuck, it turned into more like a, all right. Like, it almost even gave me the perspective that I know it is possible to get over it, but just rather right now I got to figure some shit out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Damn, wow.
Exactly. And this is, anybody can learn this stuff, and it's super valuable because most people's language works against them due to a lack of education about the macro conversation of identity and the granular conversation about words. There's a subset of the English language, I'm happy to go into this, it's called conflict language, that people use accidentally to cause stress and conflict and talk themselves out of opportunity. Most people's language works against them. Yeah. We teach people to learn to use their language to work for them. So, back to that example, how can I ever get over this? Both of those statements are presuppositions. They presuppose something.
Yeah.
How can I ever get over this? It, yes, technically is a question, yet when said emphatically, like most people would when they say it, it's actually a statement that I'm fucked. Okay? And so, how can I ever get over this? Drama goes high, and I presuppose that there's nothing I can do. And since there's nothing I can do, then I'm stuck. And since I'm stuck, then I am in alignment with the Webster's definition of identity being factual. And so I am victimized in some way, shape, or form, whether it's from a person or my genetics or the universe. And so, hello, stress response, trapped breathing, cortisol spikes, testosterone goes down, I get tight, and let me pile a whole bunch of other stories on top of it. How will Dude, I know. No need for coffee, man.
Wow, jeez.
It's crazy.
Revolutionary.
It's
wow.
So
simple.
It's so simple. It's so simple. Yeah. And then it has its challenges.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you'd like, I can go into the definition of the victim mentality, and we can talk about some of those challenges.
Yeah, let's kind of define some of the terms here to really, I hope for the listener, just to make sure that you fully understand and relate to each component of what we're talking about here.
Sure.
Yeah.
The definition of the victim mentality is an acquired personality trait where a person tends to regard himself or herself as the victim of the negative actions of others, even in the absence of clear evidence. Second sentence, second part, the victim mentality depends on a habitual thought process and attributions. So it depends. That's the verbatim definition of the victim mentality. The second statement is extremely revealing, in my opinion. So it depends on a habitual thought process and revolution. Depends accurately implies time, okay, and habit habitually. A habitual thought process accurately implies addiction.
Wow.
We get addicted to our stress responses, the stories that we tell ourselves.
It's a comfortable habit loop.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
And breaking that addiction, in my opinion, that's the most prevalent and most well aggregated addiction on the planet, is our us being convinced that we're ourselves, that I am Mark, okay? Or I'm a version of Mark, okay? And that is, and you know, Mark does what Mark likes to do, and you know,
Mark hungry, Mark sad.
Yeah, exactly.
Chase always hungry.
Exactly. And it's super easy to do because I've got my voice in my head telling me things, and because it's, you know, since it sounds like me in my head, it has to be true.
It's a path of least resistance. Also, it's the safest, most uncomfortable thing that we would ever have to do is to challenge that inner voice.
That's very well said. Yeah. It's
nice. I got one smart thing on the show. All right, I'll take
dude.
that.
And you know, you wanted to start off with identity. That's a great place to start. The other statement, how can I get over this, is also a presupposition. That presupposes that I can get over this. So the drama level comes down, and I allow myself to see options or opportunities.
Right, absolutely.
One road blocks them.
Yeah.
Okay. One puts them on the table for me to choose from because I'm looking for them. Have you ever met someone who just seems to find opportunity or create opportunity? There are people like that.
Let me insert any socially successful person here. By social, I mean social media. I see this and I get this so many times. It must be nice. It must be nice. All that, there's that perception bullshit again.
Like, after 230 podcasts, you're an overnight success.
Yeah.
You know, after 10 years hard work, they're an overnight success.
Yeah.
There's a point I was going to make about
I
identity.
derailed you. My apologies.
No,
man.
dude, all good. We'll circle back to it. Presuppositions. So we're presupposing things about ourselves all the time, and many of them are the word I wanted to say was deadly. Many of them are
Can I share something with you right there?
Please.
It's very funny. It's a lot of things are like really serendipitous here. I love, the Richmond aspect, mutual connections and friends, and what we're talking about actually is so spot on to the core of the entire reason why what I'm doing, why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Ever forward, and I didn't share this with you before. That phrase came from the biggest fear, the biggest thing, the lie, the story, that comfortable habit loop that I was telling myself for years and 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 years, was exactly that. How will I ever get over this? And it was through the loss of my father. He passed away in 2005, terminal illness, horrible way to watch someone die.
I've seen it. My mom went.
Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS.
Got it.
I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah. So then that initial, I think, grief response, that human response that no one is going to judge you for feeling any other way of like, oh my God, of course you went through this horrible loss. You're going to feel angry. You're going to feel sad. You're going to be crying out to the heavens. Sure, maybe a few of us are better in tune with ourselves and our emotions and can process it a little bit more quickly, I'll say. But I literally for years was just, how will I ever get over this? How will I ever get over this? Why me? Why me? But pretty much the core of it was, how will I ever get over this? Until through a series of events, kind of compounding over months and months, and kind of forced me to look at that, to force me to ask myself the second version of that question we looked at. How will I get over this? And for me, it wasn't so much that I needed to get over it. It was, I just need to change my relationship with it. Yeah. Me getting over it was changing my relationship with it.
Yeah.
And it was like that phrase that was supposed to be instilling hope and positivity was associated, ever forward was associated to my father. Well, my father is now dead. My father is someone that I watched, this horrible 18-month experience with just wither away and die. And once I finally was able to change that question in my mind, I didn't actually ask myself that question, but through, like I said, self-work and just getting more vulnerable and just really reevaluating myself, that subconsciously did change. And I asked myself, instead of how will I ever get over this, how will I get over this? More importantly, how will I use this to my benefit? Because when I look at that core of what that means ever forward and what my father really wanted to instill in his children and his family, I was just like, well, I'm not living it. I'm not doing it. I want to say it and be it, all these things, but I'm still tying this horrible association to it. Well, what if I just changed the way that I looked at it? What if there was a gift in it? And it was in those moments, those months of work and kind of just getting more comfortable with it and changing my relationship with it, that I didn't get over it. I got comfortable with it. And instead of just like being a roadblock in front of me in my future, my success, I just embodied and embraced that new path. It's really funny that that's the main conversation, the question we're having, because it could not be more perfect for this platform, man.
How old were you when your dad died?
19.
19? I was 20 when my mom died.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and she went through, so you're 33?
Yeah.
I'm 43. And so right around the same time in our lives, I watched my mom go through 18 months of chemo and radiation and surgery and wither away into just nothing. So I get that.
Wow.
And dude, that fueled, I was a very angry person for a while, which is not an uncommon story. It's a common story. People deal with, the death of a nuclear family member is exactly what it is. It is hard.
Grief is it's a motherfucker. It's a wild beast.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
And it's a very wild beast. When we keep the story inside.
Yes, absolutely.
So we don't talk about it. Part of the business that we're in is helping people set goals. And we start that conversation almost always talking about drafts. So in high school or college, I definitely did this. In high school and college, there were times when I handed in a rough draft, scribbled something out the night before, or maybe
completed the assignment. Yeah,
check. Maybe even the morning of in the parking lot, and then I hand something in, and I get back a C, a C minus, a D plus, a C plus, maybe a B. Okay, cool. There were also other times when I handed in a second or a third draft. So I got an idea down on paper. I took it from in here and got it down here.
Yeah.
And then I went and did something, maybe came back 4 or 5 hours later or the next day, and I looked at what I wrote, and I made it more concise and coherent. Took some things out, added some things in, created a better argument, better product. If I did a third draft, it was just one more of those. And so I handed in a second or third draft, and almost always I got back a better grade.
Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to goal setting, only 3% of the population has any written goals about what they would like their life to look like.
I believe it.
That means 97% of the population doesn't even have a draft to hand in. Yeah.
Damn.
And so they have these looping dreams, truly.
It's just some version of a movie.
Yeah.
Just going on and on.
Parts
and on.
of it. Just looping.
Their movie that they don't realize that they could be directing. They could be story.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if you want to put yourself in that driver's seat, everybody, write them down. How you take a dream and turn it into a goal is to write it down. Would you like to be the person that has a lot of dreams or that has a lot of goals? Okay, that's how you do it. Dreams are in your head. Goals are written on paper. And if you are suffering with something, a story from yesterday or 22 years ago, that every time that you bump up into it in your mind or you dive into it in your mind and you get locked up, it creates that stress response, and maybe you get really angry, or maybe you get really emotional, or maybe you're just barely sipping air through it because your throat, you're just
Barely
so
surviving.
barely breathing.
That was me.
Write it down on paper and write it out conversationally. This is one of the most valuable things I can tell anyone after 12 years full-time in a healthy, obsessive way of research and coaching and application and presentation, developing courses, co-founding 2 communication companies, giving a TedX talk on the power of our words and the flexibility of our identity. This is one of the most top 3 valuable things that I can give, is to write down your story conversationally, okay? Because it goes from in here, an infinite loop, okay? It's the boogeyman. Take it and write it out conversationally on a piece of paper. And then bite down on your mouthpiece, as we used to say in the fight game, and read that fucker out loud.
Embrace the suck.
Yeah. and keep reading it until you start to down regulate. Okay? And how you can expedite the down regulation process is once you're reading it out loud, slow down your rate of reading it. So if you have a story and it was in here and you put it on paper, you want to write it conversationally so you can say it.
Sure, yeah.
So then you say it out loud, okay? And then you say it out loud slowly. What the slowly part does is it starts to get the breathing down into your abdomen.
You have time to literally digest the meaning of the words. Emotionally,
you say smart things all the time. I know about your podcast. That's another one. Check. Another check. Chase. Smart thing said. Yes, totally. You can digest it. Otherwise, you've got indigestion about that story. Otherwise, it's what's the difference between, we're allergic to parts of our stories. What's the difference between the pollen back in the East Coast during the, and the
difference is it fucks me up. That's
humidity.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a story that every time I think about it, I go, there's like I eat some peanuts and I go into, I think about the thing that happened in high school. I go, what's the difference? There really isn't much as far as the response is concerned. Okay, in my simple opinion, again, I'm not a doctor. What I am is an enthusiast. I find language simply fascinating, and it's held my fascination for 12 years. And it will very likely do that tomorrow, and I'm very likely going to be in this game for a while. So if that's you can and so let's talk about living forward, moving forward, living well. What I equate story work to now is productivity. The most productive people that I know, there is a common theme, is that they've gone into their stories.
Yeah.
And they've worked on them in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
Okay? Whether they go to someone that's skilled and they talk it out, or they have a journaling practice, or they've got a good goal-setting practice, or somehow, some way, work on your story. Keeping it in here, that will stagnate anyone.
Yeah.
Okay? And this has nothing to do with IQ. Okay? And
it has everything to do with the human experience.
Dude, it has everything to do with human experience because we're storytelling machines.
Yeah.
We didn't choose. Did you choose whether you were going to learn language or not? It's as natural as breathing and walking.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right out, you start breathing because you know you have to. As soon as you can, you start walking because you know you have to. As soon as you possibly can. And some people say, well, I would say things to, my the unborn baby in my wife's in the stomach, and the baby would kick when it would hear my voice. As soon as we can possibly do it, we're making noises because we know we have to. It's inseparable. Damn. It's inseparable from us, and we have.
It's nothing more natural.
What is more natural than that? I'm going to tell myself a story about myself. That's fact. Okay. Cool. We have, generally speaking, zero to no training in the other side of the conversation of language, which is, you want to get weird about it, it's the metaphysics of language. Metaphysics means above or beyond the physical world. So it's, what is my imagination? That I don't know anyone that knows what the imagination is, yet we're engaging with it all day long. And if we engage in it in certain ways, things seem to get worse. And if we engage in it in other ways, then things seem to get better. Yeah. And I can write down some symbols on a piece of paper and essentially force myself to see me succeed. Cool. I didn't have one class in goal setting on high school.
Yeah, and everything you're talking about here, I want to make an analogy for maybe the listener who, because we talk about a lot of things, mindset and perspective and personal development, but a lot of things, nutrition and fitness. So I'm going to make an analogy here that I think a lot of my listeners can understand. Odds are, again, maybe making an assumption here, if you're listening to this, you're someone who cares about your fitness and nutrition. A lot of people have gone through a lot of my clients in my health coaching practice have gone through, what do we always do? A diet elimination, or we start tracking our food. And what do you usually find out in that experience? Whether it's a day, a week, or a month, you realize by becoming aware of the things that you're putting into your body, you're becoming aware of the after effects. Like, wow, when I eat this way or this particular food or food group, I feel like shit, or I feel amazing, or it gives me energy. It allows me to have stamina in my workouts. It allows me to have energy for my kids' pee-wee game, whatever. First step is awareness in everything. And if you can make this same practice of, all right, I did a food log, I did a diet elimination log, do that with your thoughts. Do that with parts of your story. Do that with your emotions. I can think of a handful of people that I've actually done that with, former clients who, if for whatever reason things weren't clicking in terms of like, okay, nutritional awareness. Well, let's walk through your day. Let's take the same template, but instead of just, I'm not going to have you log the food. I just want you to, like, how do you feel when you wake up? How do you feel after a breakfast? How do you feel after a snack? How do you feel before? What are your thoughts before, during, and after a meal? That was the game changer. That was the catalyst for people, because then they realize, for a lot of people here, is that it's not really always the food. It's never, more often than not, it's not the food that's the issue or the problem or the thing that you really need or want to change. It's those thoughts and emotions and stories before, during, and after that act.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your clients send you emails all the time thanking you for helping them do that. It's
get a few. Yeah, some of them write back. It's always appreciated.
I bet you do, man. It's an easy thing to do, and in one sense, and it's a lot easier when someone gives you a little nudge.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Good job on that, man. They'll thank you forever for that.
But hopefully that's an analogy that a lot of listeners and watchers here, can really pick up on. It's not something crazy, wild, and foreign and woo-woo. It's the same process.
Yeah.
Just instead of logging X, we're logging Y. Step one is awareness and everything, right?
Step one is awareness and everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so much of what you've been talking about, I can really tell and hear the intentionality, the tone, the inflection, the specificity, the inflection, a lot of things in your words. You're someone who's clearly very in tune with that. And we've been talking about the power of changing one little inflection or one little annotation, connotation. Is that the crux of Procabulary? And what was the process like to really kind of take this experience that you've had and turn it into like a formula, a system, an experience to then share with the world? What's really the origin here behind Procabulary?
Got it. The origin behind Procabulary is two guys that share a similar interest in the power of our stories. Myself and my business partner, and like I previously said, this area of research, it does not interest me. It fascinates me.
Yeah.
Because of the things that you just said, the finer points of the conversation, the inflections, the pauses, and all of that it's essentially a skill set that anyone can learn to do. And when someone does learn to become a finer communicator, the rhythm of a conversation. I think about the rhythm of a conversation a lot.
Great description of it.
I got a friend of mine, okay? And he's a shitty conversationalist. Okay? He and I are
not a wordsmith, this one.
No, and he's a lot smarter than me, a whole lot smarter than me. And when you've probably run across people like this, you're halfway through a sentence or halfway through a story, and they interrupt and they change the conversation.
Yes.
Dude, that's the equivalent of asking someone, because when you're in a conversation with someone, it is a dance. That's the equivalent of asking someone to go out on the dance floor, and right when you start to get your rhythm, you kick them in the shin. Okay?
Wait, are you describing me? Because it sounds like me on the dance floor.
No.
I'm that white guy. No. I'm still out there, though. I'm having fun.
Dude, it's
not intentional shin kicking.
Yeah. It's if you do it with a smile, I don't know. But that's what this guy does that. And he does it a lot, and he has been in business for himself in a couple of different sections of his life. And I know a little bit about those stories, and I know that caused problems for him, and sometimes it caused big problems for him. I have another friend who, and we have a term for this one in Procabulary. They'll tell you every little fucking detail about everything that happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like 3 people just popped in my head.
Dude, Voltaire, the French philosopher, politician, he said the secret of being boring is to say everything. Okay? In Procabulary, we call it transcripting.
Yeah. Word vomiting.
Do not transcript people.
Yeah.
Okay? Do not do that, because guess what? They're going to be dying to get on any kind of social media app just to instead of listening to that. It's horrible. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's a horrible, like always interrupting someone, horrible, transcripting someone, horrible, gossiping, horrible. Okay, check. Now what's over here? Cool. How do I have a smooth conversation with somebody? That fascinates me, because guess what? That feels good.
Yeah.
Okay, Robin Dunbar in the Grooming, Gossip, and the Evolution of Language, he postulates that language is an evolution of grooming. You know, so how monkeys just, I do too.
Yeah.
Whether it's true or not, I think that I like the analogy a lot, because if someone, you're like, the monkeys are like picking and fluffing and massaging and things. Somebody comes over and grabs your hair and like ricks your neck and like pushes you like that, and it's just a normal conversation. You ever had a conversation with someone that felt like that?
Oh my God, yeah.
Dude, do you want to talk with them anymore?
No.
No, I don't either.
It's pointless.
It's pointless.
Yeah.
It's pointless. Now, what if they're in sales? Good luck with that. But that's another conversation. And so, okay, cool. What if I learn to have smoother conversations? What if I learn to be a better listener? What if I learn to find the rhythm of the conversation that you and I are in the process of creating, because we just met each other an hour ago.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so that feels good to me, and that feels good to him, and then better and better ideas come out from that. And that fascinates me. So I pay closer attention. I pay close attention to myself in that regard. And I make an adjustment here and an adjustment there, and also the craft, because I see it as such. The craft of public speaking. I am a public speaker. I've given over 500 talks, and
that's amazing. By the way, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's huge.
It's changed me.
Yeah.
For sure. It's changed my understanding of me.
Wow.
It has definitely made me much more convinced that I am that fluid, flexible process. I'm the ability to create the story of Mark than the fact of being Mark.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like a personal applause, man. That means a lot to me. Yeah, that resonates with me very well.
Dude, I know you're going to get it. You're getting into it. You're going to be good at it, man.
That hit me hard, yeah.
And
thank you for that gift.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
believe it. And that getting on stage, and that the last 7% of a really great talk is totally the razor's edge. And I used to fight, and I love presenting for the same reason I used to love competing, is that when you're in the heat of the moment, nothing else exists.
Yeah.
It's I'm all here. And some people love that shit. That taste that has a certain texture. That experience has, it has a certain texture to it. Some people get it through, whatever. Pick a hobby, pick an obsession, pick a passion, pick a profession. Those are two areas that I experienced that ultimate presence with, and I highly recommend people finding whatever that thing or things are for them in their life, because a little bit of that goes a long way.
Yeah.
And the guy we were talking about earlier, Paris Robinson, he was also a heavy intravenous heroin addict, intravenous drug user. And he gave his first presentation last November at Elwood Thompson's. His first professional presentation. He got $320 for an hour-long talk.
Wow.
20-some people showed up and paid $15 to hear this guy talk. Wow. And he went home that night, and he didn't sleep till 4:45 in the morning.
Oh, how could he? I'm sure he was just
was jazzed.
The most amazing high of his life.
That's exactly what he said. He said, heroin doesn't touch this.
Nothing ever compared. Yeah.
And then it was really, I mean, cute's not the right word to use with this guy, but it was super cute, man. He gets the paycheck. It was $300 and some odd, and he said he wouldn't cash it.
No way.
He said it took him 3 days to cash that thing.
Oh, he's probably looking at it as
he's like, is this thing real?
A trophy.
This thing isn't real. I just got paid to talk.
Yeah.
And he only had one job in his life. He only had 2 jobs. The first job was he worked half a day at Bojangles, screwed up a couple of plates of biscuits, and fucking rolled, man.
Hey, don't mess around people's Bojangles
Dude,
biscuits.
Bojangles, hey, man, no offense.
That's sacred itself.
That's sacred over there.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And then selling drugs.
Wow.
And so now he's had 3 jobs, and that was the first time he got any kind of monetary compensation for telling people stories that were valuable to them, because that's what public speaking is.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a storyteller. And we were brought up from the beginning of time telling each other stories and listening to stories. And so if it's that ingrained in our social matrices, then let's learn to do it well. The most successful people are the best storytellers.
Yeah. Why not tap into the most prolific, organic, natural tool for connection with another human being?
Yeah.
That's literally in our DNA. Across time, that's all we've ever done. That's how we have come together. That's how we've survived.
Yep.
Is through the connection with other human beings through the art of storytelling.
Yes. And it precludes everything. Very frequently, you talk to someone before you touch them, especially if it's how things happen. Okay. So learn to do it just a little bit better, and pay attention to people that you appreciate their conversation style. Okay. Or you see them as being successful. Is their communication in any way related to their success? It very likely is. Pick up a couple of tips, okay? And if you gossip, stop gossiping, okay? Cut that thing in half or cut the head off of it completely. I used to gossip. I don't gossip anymore. Ask Mike Bledsoe, and because he doesn't do it either, and we compliment each other on that. And I totally used to do that. I used to talk shit about people. Okay. And on the other side, like, that version of me sucked. This version of me is a lot more fun. And there's a correlation between that. Okay. I was talking about this the other day, so I'll talk about it again. I've read a book on shamanism, South American shamanism. This was 15 years ago. And the guy that they were interviewing, this very predominant shaman, he spent 2 full chapters talking about the dangers of gossip. He said it's the highest form of black magic.
Wow.
I found that spooky to use that word again, and I was like, okay, cool. That's all I needed to hear. I'm going to...
What an amazing way to describe that.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the highest form of black magic, because I don't know shit about black magic, but it's common.
Yeah.
It's super common, and we've all had people talk shit about us. Okay? It hurts. So stop. Another piece of great advice. Your life will get a lot better.
It's so easy, and I'll be totally honest here. That's honestly something for a while I've really been trying to focus on not doing.
Sure.
I wouldn't say that I do it a lot, but there are certain people, certain places where without a shadow of a doubt, I know if I go here and if I see this person interact with like 1 degree of separation, it's going to happen just because of who they are being.
Yeah.
It has no correlation to who I am. It doesn't change my belief system. It doesn't really do anything. But in a way, when we gossip, it is a way for us to feel, this is how I feel about it. This is, when we gossip, it is a way for us to kind of self-loathe and feel more justified in our actions as being right. Like, can you believe what this person said or what they did? Or like, oh my God, there they go again. Meaning that like how we do it is the right way and how they do it is the wrong way. and that's not who I try to. It's not who I try to be, and yeah, it's difficult. It's really difficult because it can be so irritating, and so
seductive.
Yes, absolutely. Because again,
So
usually
easy.
if you're gossiping, it's with another person
Yeah.
or persons. So again, you want to feel included.
Connection.
You want to have connection. Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Some people, it's just so hard. Like,
Dude, I get
some
it, man.
People, oh my god.
And let me be very clear. There's a part of me that wants to.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I assume that part of me will be there till the day I croak.
Yeah.
And I'm very wary of that. And I'm also wary of me starting a conversation when I know there's only one direction it will go, which will end up with some people talking shit about other people. That's a part of it too. And man, I triple down on shutting that thing down. Am I 100% of the time? No. Am I 99% most of the time? Yes. And that's good enough. And that's something that there is no line crossed with that with me. Yeah. I keep that part of me in check. Okay. Because I want to.
What's that quote? It's better to let people think you're a fool than to open your mouth and prove them right.
Prove them right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Words are powerful. Words are powerful, Chase. I mean, it's we're really talking about spells. By definition.
Yeah.
You know?
Truly. Because what are spells? It's just a flow, a symmetry, a formula of words.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The definition of a spell is a combination of words of great influence. Yeah. Here's a story example I use frequently. A client came in, sat down, and said, "I've got a problem with my face." First thing out of her mouth. I'm like, okay, cool. And she said, "I know where it's coming from."
I have resting bitch face.
Yeah, rest. And everybody says it. I just like it.
Just how I am.
Just how things. Yeah. Nice. Wait, I'll let. Yeah, it's good. It's good, man. Tie that thing back
maybe
in.
A lot of people are nodding their head right now about. Yeah, I definitely gossiped about a person like that recently. Yeah. Maybe it's
dude.
Me.
You know.
Sorry, man.
No, it's good, dude. I like the humor.
Yeah.
And yeah, she
walks in and says that.
Says that. She says, I got a problem with my face, and I know where it's coming from. I just don't know what to do about it. And I said, what happened? And she told the story of her great aunt when she was at her grandparents' house. Her great aunt came in, and she's like 10, and her great aunt leaned down and goes, "My, don't you have a big nose just like me?"
Oh my God.
I put a spell on you. And what happened? The girl goes like that. So stress response, the breath is trapped. Okay?
The mind and the body immediately bind to that experience.
Yes.
Boom.
They bind to the
life.
statement.
Yeah.
Okay. That opinion is now fact.
Yeah.
And I remember where I blanked earlier in the conversation. I'm going to tie this in. So she goes into the bathroom. Her nose was no bigger than 30 seconds before than it is now, but it looks different to her because she's focusing on it. Mm-hmm. We all have something. If you're into personal development and you want to get some more success out of yourself, look this one up. The reticular activating system. So in August of 2017, I'm in Richmond over in Westover Hills, and I'm going to give a presentation at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I like practicing being early. So I get out the door early, and I'm going over my notes in my head, and I walk over to where my car was parked the night before.
Oh, no. Was.
Keyword. And it's gone. And I do the, like,
am I crazy?
Yeah, I would have loved to have a video of my face because that would have been interesting. It was like the slow blinks. Get the phone out.
Dude, where's your car?
Call the cops. Dude, where's my car?
Where's my car, dude?
And I was like, did I get drunk last night? And I was like, no, I'm sober right now. And so police are on the way. Yeah. I call my dad, and I'm like, Dad, I need the farm truck. The car got stolen. My father has a 1985 Ford F-150, mint condition, 2 tones of brown. We call it brown and browner. He bought it off the showroom floor. It's out at the farm, okay, in Buckingham, Virginia. You've probably driven through Buckingham many times, or
Yeah,
Dillwyn.
Yeah.
Dillwyn, Virginia, is straight out 60.
Yeah.
Okay.
We drive through Buckingham, bouncing back and forth between Roanoke and Richmond.
Oh, yeah, tons of times. And I like this VA connection.
That's tight.
Yeah. And so, okay, cool. I get the farm truck, and I drive the farm truck around Richmond, and within a matter of a day, maybe even hours, I start seeing 1985-ish Ford F-150s all over the place. Other people have had this experience too. You get in a car and you start seeing that car. Maybe it's even a commercial, an interesting commercial, and our reticular activating system pays attention to what we pay attention to.
It looks for the familiar.
Yes. And so then I start picking, because I'm in a 1985 Ford F-150, this must be important. So I'm going to find more of those. And while I'm finding more of those, I'm going to edit out the green vans and the blue Oldsmobiles, because it's not that. And it's the same thing with the person that finds opportunity or sees opportunity where other people can't. It's the same thing with those presuppositions. How can I ever get over this? My reticular activating system does what it does and blocks out any way of solving the issue. I take one word out, and then my reticular activating system participates, because it's not driving the bus. It participates. And then I put the solutions on the table, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can see this. Nice. Okay, I had this dude, I was coaching a young man. He said, Mark, I can't keep focusing on my past. Cool. And guess what he was making pictures of? His past, the worst parts of it. I had him write it down. I can't keep focusing on my past. Good thing to do when someone says a statement that's very influential, also known as a spell. The guy was spelling on himself. And I said, okay, cool. I get it. And if that's what you can't start doing or can't keep doing, what can you start doing?
Yeah.
And he answered in a question. Focus on my future more? And it went up at the end. Okay?
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
I'm 12. Sorry.
Dude. Love it. And I said, yeah, now make a statement out of it. I can focus on my future more. I can focus on my future more. He was struggling at work. Okay, cool. Now that he's looking into his future, write down 3 things that you need to do to develop your skills. He was in sales. He was struggling, and he did. That dude sent me a message on YouTube, a YouTube video we got up, and he said, man, that shit changed my life. I was like, okay. I mean, yes, you're welcome. I assisted, and you did that, and you didn't change your life. You changed your story.
Yeah.
And you changed your story because you changed a sentence.
And that's the more powerful thing right there as well, is that because of the work that you have done, that you have been able to help others do with themselves. This is what I love. This is a good characteristic. This is a characteristic of a great coach, is that we don't ever tell people, not to make the assumption I'm a great coach, but just
do it.
We don't tell people what to do. You listen, motivational interviewing, you ask questions, and then 9 out of 10 times, what happens? They come up with their own solution.
Yep.
But they're just not solidified enough in their belief in it that it 9 times out of 10 comes out as a question. And then we just either say nothing, or we just say, hey, say that again. And it begins to feel better. And then it goes from a question to a statement to a belief system to a life.
Yes. The power of words, man.
Beautiful. Well, Mark, kind of getting close to the end here. I really hope the listener has. I know they have to have experienced this, because multiple times during our conversations come up for me, and I try to just create content, have interviews, tell stories for. We say the ideal client, the ideal audience member. It's always just a former version of myself. And so many former versions of myself was just like, it's going through what you're talking about, man. And like I said earlier, something you said definitely clicked with something that I need to do and take action on now, and just is what I needed to hear. So I know without a shadow of a doubt that the persons listening definitely took that away as well. So thank you.
Very cool.
For the work that you have done and keep doing, man.
Thank you. I have a lot of fun with it. I meet a lot of very cool people, yourself included.
Thank you.
On the path, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, Richmond, Virginia, VA, and we
love you.
I knew you were going to be tight when you came on.
Right.
Just so many things. I could just keep going, but power in storytelling.
Yeah.
And we are telling ourselves a story, whether we realize it or not. Storytelling doesn't have to be a podcast or a public speaker. Storytelling is the person leading a meeting at work.
Yes.
Storytelling is a person, posting something on social media. You are weaving words together. Your potion, your spell, and there's power in that. There's power in the way that people read it, hear it, perceive it, but even more so, there's power in how we read it, how we perceive it, how we hear it, how we feel it. That I think is missed on a lot of people. So step one is awareness and everything. So
big time.
Take a day. I would challenge the viewer, the listener. Like I was making that analogy earlier of instead of doing like a diet elimination experience, a food log, do it with a word log, a feeling log, an emotional log, and just go through a day. Hell, take 2 hours in a work day and just document things like how do you feel? What words are you describing that sensation? What words are you using to describe other people? And then just reflect on it. There's power there.
Big time. Big time.
And I don't think people would really, I think it'll be very scary sometimes. It'll be revealing in others. And I would love to kind of hear the feedback on that. That in a nutshell, the Procabulary experience, I love that term, by the way. And I love the work that you're doing there and everything that you have to offer and what Lifted is doing. And just, I know the guys involved with this now more and more, and it's incredible. It's very necessary work. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And I'll kind of wrap it up here, and I'll say, like I shared with you earlier, that is exactly what I had to do in order for my most important work to be possible today.
Yeah.
I had to ask that question of, instead of how will I ever get over this, is how will I get over this? And just really just that one little word completely changed the trajectory of my daily living, my profession. Dude. Like your friend, I get that check for just sharing a story, and it felt so amazing. Like, it still blows my mind that, like, this is what I do for a living now. Agreed. It's unreal. Myself included.
Yeah. I hope it stays that way.
Absolutely.
Because that's fun, and for your audience, there is not room in the conversation for your genius, whatever you're interested in, whatever you'd like to get better at, your voice, your story. There's a gaping hole ready for you to step in and participate.
It's already there.
Present your story, man. Or ladies, gentlemen, it's write down, get the stories that have haunted you down on paper. You don't need anyone to do this. Okay, as a note, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, and this is just my personal opinion. Okay, I'm gonna choose my words. Most of the time, you don't need anyone to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, you just do it on yourself. Do it with yourself. Get some of those stories written down on paper and open them up. Verbalize it. Slow it down. Get some breathing room in there, and that will give you some extra mental real estate for your creativity. And it'll give you some extra gas in the tank so you can focus on the things that interest you and matter to you, and keep doing that and keep getting better at things, and then go hang out with other people that are good at those things too, and then get on podcasts, and then maybe even start your own podcasts, or start presenting, start teaching, get certified in a few things, keep developing the yourself and adding value to yourself, and you will shock yourself. My first presentation I ever gave was to 12 of my friends, okay, about this stuff, and it felt like I was sweating electricity. Okay, I thought I was going to die. I look forward to presenting now. Yeah. And if I can do that, anybody could do that. I was in special classes when I was a kid. It's the reps, man. A little bit of story work you'll give yourself permission to get better. Okay?
That's it.
That's it. Yeah. Do that, please. The world needs you. Yeah. Your world needs you. Okay?
That's amazing, man. One question I ask everybody, and a part of, like I said, my story and the work that you're doing, what does that mean to you when I say, ever forward? That's stories and words. It really help flip the script on my life, my profession, my story. And that's what ever forward is to me. It's a belief system, and it came from a dark place. And now it's that sweating electricity aspect, waking up every day and being able to just share this story and connect with others doing the same thing. So what does that mean to you, man? How would you say that, how would you say you live a life ever forward? What does that mean to you?
How do I live a life ever forward? Breathing well. Focusing on my breath. Keeping a conversation going about how well I breathe while I do all kinds of things. Because I was breathing before I was thinking. And that to me is as important as any well-told story. Because I have to I'm making noises. I'm using my breath. Our breath is an inseparable part of our storytelling. And the better you breathe, the better storyteller you will be. And the better storyteller that you will be, the better you will get at projecting yourself into your future, also known as your imagination, and creating that internally before you express it externally. So living my life, creating my life in a conscious, constructive, considerate, forward fashion, my breathing is a major part of that process. And so that's part of what that means for me. And if you ask me what else ever forward means to me,
I will ask you.
If you give me enough time to contemplate on that, I will come up with other answers that are valuable for me to hear myself say.
Excellent.
And right now, I'm very comfortable saying that breathing well is an important part of that process right now, and as I move forward in the ways that I want to live in my future.
I love it, man. And not to completely go off on a new tangent here, we're wrapping up, but going deeper there, breath work. As someone who in the past 6 months, 4 to 6 months, I've gone through my first 2 breath work classes.
Cool. Which ones you do?
I did one at a wellness retreat down in Sunset Beach area. It was led by, her name's Samantha Skelly.
I know Sam.
Yeah.
I know Sam well.
She led my very first one.
She's great.
It was liberating. It was terrifying. It was emotional. It was a high. And then I had another one that was led a follow-up wellness retreat by the same organization down in Sunset Beach. Shout out Fit Bar. And that first experience, they explained kind of like the biochemistry, the hyperoxygenation of the blood, like sensations, what you literally physiologically would feel. But then she also went into, don't be surprised if you start crying, if you start laughing, if all these emotions come surfacing. I was like, okay.
You think, yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm like,
Until
I'm sitting there like lobster hands.
Lobster claws.
Tingling like I took an entire pre-workout bottle's worth of beta-alanine. And just like what the hell is going on? And then all of a sudden, I don't know if I've ever actually shared this on the podcast or no, I don't think so. It opened up a part of my story that I needed and I thought I would never get.
Yeah.
I shit you not, the listener. I shit you not, Mark. I was, after that sensation stuff was going on, I was like, what the hell's going on? It was like a flash. I was back in the hospital room moments before my father passed away. In his body, it was a point of view of the room, and I was looking out, and I was looking at me. So I was my father's perspective looking at me, and I'm a mess. And what I never got from him, because he physically couldn't say it or express it, was like, it's okay. It was just from him directly to me, like, it's okay. It's okay. I love you. I'm moving on. It's okay. It's okay. And that was such a huge part of my story that I needed. And yeah, like, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it again. But like, and then it opened up so many other opportunities and doors for like the second one, and I was just like, I didn't have that same experience again. Like other things came up, actually more like business oriented things, of things like you need to do this, you need to do that, just clarity around a lot of things. My story, my current story, the first one gave me my past story. Yeah, man, shit. Got me all up in my feels. And it was as clear as day. I had my eyes closed, and in that experience, I was watching a movie. And it was from like my father's eyes, just watching out directly to me. And he was just giving me permission to like
go do your
on.
thing, son.
Yeah.
That's cool, buddy.
It was weird. Sam, yeah, actually, we've been playing email tag for a while. I can't wait to get her on the show.
Yeah. She's cool.
Yeah, maybe we'll do like a live breathwork class on that or something.
Dude. Yeah, do that. Ooh. Everybody lay down on the ground.
Oh, my God.
Buckle up.
Yeah, seriously. And then get another buckle. Hold hands.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Do breath work with your friends, man. Who knew?
It's wild, man.
It's the new cool.
I'll, of course, have all of your information listed down in the show notes.
Yeah, thanks, man.
But real quick, where are you hanging out the most? If someone wants to like tap that link right now, where are they going? Where are they hanging out with you? Where can they connect?
Instagram, Mark England 2020. And if you like a good TED Talk on words,
TedX RVA.
TedX RVA. Go to YouTube and put in my name, TED Talk, and you'll see that.
Excellent, man. Dude, thank you so much.
Dude, thank you for having me, Chase.
It's been amazing.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.